Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're watching Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Divisional Round predictions, and we are really getting into it now with only 8 teams left in 4 games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. But before we get into those games, just a quick update on our head-to-head pick'em. I had a pretty awful week, but luckily Cal and I picked a lot of the same games, only 2 different ones. I was up by 4, but now we are tied at a straight 185 after I only got 6 points and Callan got 5 of his 6 divisional or wild card games correct. So
Only one
good
I
showing
missed
by
was
him.
the damn Vikings. Would have won me $50 on the parlay, but
The damn Vikings, tell me about it.
you know,
I
I know.
think,
Preaching
I
to
was
the
gonna say,
choir.
I think I might be a little more hurt than you. $50 is $50. So. But as I mentioned, flat, even, tied again, this time at 185. But we are very different this week. So one of us may have a huge swing up to a whole 9-point difference. So let's jump straight into those matchups, starting with the Saturday 3:30 game of the 4 seed Jacksonville Jaguars heading to Kansas City to take on the 1 seed Chiefs, and starting off with a split here. I have the Chiefs, Callan has the Jags.
That's right. I believe in the Jaguars and Saxonville. And I believe it, and because of Doug Peterson and one stat that I found very intriguing. Trevor Lawrence has never lost on a Saturday. Going all the way back to the beginning of his college career, he is undefeated when he plays on Saturday. And even after throwing 4 interceptions, he still pulled out a victory last week, which just goes to show that he can be a true winner. And I believe that he might have the big coming out party for these playoffs, and he might be the superstar that he's budding to be.
The Jaguars have shown that they are able to pick up wins when Trevor Lawrence isn't playing at a high level. So if they can get him playing at a high level and have that defense play like they have, you might have something brewing there, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that this pressure is really going to start getting to him, and the Chiefs are coming off of a bye week. They've been preparing for this game for 2 weeks now. They are fully fresh. They have not very many injuries to begin with, and any nicks and scratches there were are now healed after that bye week. I just think it's going to be a little too much for the Jaguars. I think that the Chiefs would have smoked the Chargers if the Chargers would have made it. And the Jags just barely beat the Chargers. It took an historic comeback just for them to outlast the Chargers at home. Now that they're going into Kansas City, it's just a little too much stacked against them. But if Mahomes goes out there and gets a little fancy with it and throws a bunch of interceptions, I still do think the Chiefs win. But it might be a really, really freaking close game. So
I'm hoping for it to be a close game and for Trevor Lawrence to lead the Jaguars in the end with a big fourth quarter comeback.
First time Jaguars in the AFC Championship game since 2017, so that'd be pretty cool.
Seems like when the Jags get in the playoffs, they go to the championship game.
It's just few and far they get.
It's
in the
just
playoffs.
so few and far. It's like the Marlins in baseball. Every year they've been in the playoffs, except for 1 year they've won the World Series. But they've only been in the playoffs 4 years.
Man, that's rough. Well, we'll see if Jacksonville can match Seattle in that aspect. Next up, we have the first NFC matchup in the Saturday night game of the 6th seed New York Giants heading to Philadelphia to take on the 1 seed Eagles. And we agree here. We both have the Eagles in this one. Again, it's really similar to the Chiefs why I picked this one. I'm going a little safe this week. The Eagles have had 2 weeks to prepare for this game now. They had that bye week to get everyone healthy, get everyone there. Jalen Hurts came off of an injury and played week 18 and still played pretty damn well. So now he had all of week 18 and all of this bye week and all of this upcoming week to really heal that shoulder. So he's going to be coming out at what should be pretty much 100%. The Giants played a really good game against Minnesota, and if they are able to recreate the game they played against Minnesota, it'll keep them in this game and it'll keep it close. But regardless of how they play, I think the Eagles, especially being in Philadelphia, is going to be too much for the Giants to beat down.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game for the Giants, I think. You know, they played a damn near perfect game against the Vikings, and we keep waiting for Daniel Jones to make those mistakes, and I believe that the Eagles' pass rush and that strong defensive line will get the Daniel Jones to make those mistakes.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. If Daniel Jones can continue to win games while throwing the ball and not having to rely on the run game of either him or Saquon Barkley. Next up, we have our first Sunday game in the AFC with the 3 seed Cincinnati Bengals heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills as the 2 seed, and yet another split here. I have the Bills in this one. Callan has the Bengals.
So this is obviously a rematch of the Damar Hamlin game, where actually the Bengals were up 7-3 and driving for another touchdown before the very unfortunate incident. So I believe the Bengals will carry that momentum into it and beat the Bills. They played a really good game against the Ravens, a tough divisional opponent who was, even though they were playing their backup quarterback, played a really good game. That defense is really starting to show up. The one question that I have is that the Bengals offensive line is beat up again, with Jonah Williams having a dislocated kneecap and probably not playing this week.
The Bills don't have an elite defensive line by any means, but they do have a pretty good edge rushing duo. So look for a big game from, I think it'd be Greg Rousseau on that side, and Jonah Williams.
AJ Epinesa.
Yep, the Iowa boy. Gotta love that. I got the Bills in this one. I think that this is going to be a hell of a game. Definitely a game of the week candidate right here.
For sure.
Only out of 4 games, but I think this definitely should be the best game out of the 4. I have the Bills in this one, and what it's really going to come down to for me is Josh Allen cleaning up mistakes. He made so many mistakes against Miami that if it was anybody other than Miami playing their 3rd-string quarterback, they're probably outed round 1 right now.
Yeah.
So he has to clean up those mistakes, clean up those interceptions, clean up those fumbles even now. And I think that's going to happen. He's going to look back on that film and realize, wow, I need to play some smarter football. And I think he's going to do that, and he's going to reform to more of his early in the season, 2021 season, Josh Allen-esque form? I don't know. He's going to play like Josh Allen should play is really what it comes down to. And I think that is going
Vintage
Josh Allen. I like that. No, vintage Josh Allen would be 2017. And that was not great Josh Allen. So not quite vintage. Better Josh Allen. But I think Josh Allen will play up to his standards, and it will lead to a Bills win.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have our Sunday night game and the final NFC matchup for the divisional round with the 5-seed Dallas Cowboys heading to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And we are ending on another split. I have the Cowboys in this one. Callan has the Niners.
I just think that Niners defense has just been on a roll. I think they're going to be able to shut down the Cowboys. You know, the Cowboys scored 30-plus points last week. They've been kind of up and down. I believe I could see them kind of having a lull this week and not scoring as many points. It all comes down to if they can get any pressure on Brock Purdy. Because have we seen how well Purdy does with consistent pressure? I mean, we haven't really had a game where he's been consistently under pressure. The 49ers offensive line has done very well, and they've taken the focus off of Purdy with Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. So the 49ers have done a great job of managing through their quarterback injuries, and it's another backup quarterback, the 3rd stringer, out there playing in the playoffs.
Playing pretty good ball in the playoffs.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how it goes, but I think that the 49ers will come out on top in this one.
I mentioned this in yesterday's episode, but the 49ers, including regular season and playoffs, are on an 11-game win streak right now. And that just has to come to an end eventually. Just like with my Minnesota Vikings, we were on in a 12-game win streak in 1-score games. But we got into the playoffs and we lost in a 1-score game. It's hard to keep those win streaks going.
It is.
And I think Callan already touched on it now, but my main key point is pressuring Brock Purdy and more than anything, stopping Christian McCaffrey. So it's really going to come down to that Dallas defensive line and how they are going to set the trench, set the line of scrimmage. And then those linebackers, of course, also very much help in the run game. But it starts at the defensive line, to say the least. And with a beast like Micah Parsons coming off the edge, that is your best chance to get Purdy spinning. And we'll have to find out, because like Callan said, it's a really interesting test, I guess, because we haven't seen Purdy play under pressure. So you have to imagine, as a rookie, this much outside atmospheric, we'll call it, pressure on him with the stage that's set right now. You have to imagine he cracks and he completely falls apart.
You'd think.
But sometimes you get those true generational talents, Tom Brady, other guys like that, late in the draft that you don't even really think about. I'm not comparing I'm not comparing Brock Purdy to Tom Brady. But just what I'm saying is sometimes you get those guys who thrive in pressure. So maybe he goes under pressure and he becomes a better quarterback. Some people need that stage to be set for them and that pressure to be put on them to really come out of their shell and play at an elite level and show their full performance.
I see what you're saying about the whole generational superstar, but what if Brock Purdy is this generation's superstar? Late round guy coming out of a big school, a Big 12 school. I guess the only
reason I compared him to Brady was because of the late round pick thing. He was just the first one that came to my mind.
He kind of looks like Brady in his combine film,
Oh man, Brock Purdy, that's an awful comparison to get. Is you look like Brady in your combine film. But that also has a chance to be game of the week right there. That should be a very interesting matchup. I'm guessing probably 2 blowouts and 2 really close matchups this week. We'll see where they fall, but...
So Garoppolo is able to come back next week. Do they go to Jimmy G or do they roll with Brock Purdy?
No. Why would you ever go back to Jimmy Garoppolo?
If you win this game, here's the opportunity for next week for Garoppolo to be back.
If you put Garoppolo back in as Kyle Shanahan and that 49er staff, you deserve to lose. You do not deserve to go to a Super Bowl.
Roll with the Purdy.
That's not even the Jimmy Garoppolo bias in me talking. I think pretty much everybody would agree with that. Let him be the backup. Let him dress and be there.
The team really does seem to have the chemistry with Purdy.
It does.
I've seen their post-game news conferences, and they all just, are so exclamating on how he's such a leader and he's so calm and cool under pressure and he acts like the veteran and he just does what he needs to do and that's it, and he does it quite well, really.
One big thing I've noticed that Purdy has kind of done for this team is, remember Brandon Ayuk, ever since they drafted him in the first round of the 2020 draft out of Arizona State, he was always so hit or miss. He would either have like 6 catches for like 120 yards and a couple of touchdowns, or he would have 2 catches for 20 yards. There seemed to be no in between. But since Purdy has taken over, he pretty consistently has not huge games, but good games where he'll have 5, 6, 7 catches, 70, 80 yards, and a touchdown relatively consistently for what you should see for a receiver like Brandon Ayuk. So as you kind of mentioned with that chemistry there, you love to see that. Niners are a good team, but we'll see how he plays under pressure because the pressure is really starting to set in.
We'll see how McCarthy does. I still don't think McCarthy is that great of a coach. He's gonna mess up somewhere.
Oof, I forgot to factor in the McCarthy.
The McCarthy factor.
The McCarthy angle, that's tough. But that was our predictions for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. But until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.